Hi everyone, welcome back to Art Classes, and today we're going to be celebrating International Dot Day, which is based on a book, this one, by Peter H Reynolds, and it is all about a child who believes they can't draw. So it's just about how he ends up with, or how he or she ends up with the confidence to believe that they can draw. So it's a beautiful book. It's very simple, so it's suitable for all ages, all primary school ages. So it's well worth reading. And I was thinking that I will actually post a video clip of a reading of it. So I'll either pop that in the comments or in another Facebook post. So keep an eye out for it if you aren't familiar with the book. Or you could even look one up for yourself. So we're going to be doing a few different types of dot artworks, and they're going to be using different sorts of materials and mediums, but what we are going to do is, and they're going to be materials that you'll find around home, so don't stress about that too much. And I think we should probably get started because we've got a few things to get through. So the first one that we're going to start off with is a coloured paper one. Now, if you don't have coloured paper at home, and I realise not everybody will, you could use wrapping paper, or you could use magazine paper as well. You can get some great colours in magazine pages, or you could even colour paper yourself with paint or with markers or with coloured pencils. So you do have many different options, guys. I'm lucky enough that I have coloured paper here. Some of it is really sort of scraps, but that's okay. What we're going to do is we are going to be tracing circles and we're going to be cutting them out. So I'm going to start off large. So keeping in mind that this is dot day, guys. So we're going to have lots of circles. So lots of cutting. So we're going to do that one, that size, and where's our next one? We might do one this side. So you can use anything to trace around. You would have noticed that I used a paper plate. This one is just a tin or a pot that I had lying around. So I'm going to trace around this one. This one's got a little bit of a bump in it, but that's okay. I'm sure our cutting skills aren't going to be as good as they could be. Trace around this one. This one is a water pot. So you could use jars, you could use plastic containers. I'm sure everybody has a plastics cupboard in their house. And I have also got a yogurt lid. So we'll trace around this yogurt lid. You'll see that all my dots, my circles, are all different sizes. All the same shape, but all different sizes. This one's going to be my smallest one. This one's just a magnet. Don't even know where it came from. Well, I think it's a magnet. Feels like a magnet. There we go. Now we are going to cut them out. I need some elevator music happening right now while I do this cutting. Just joking. So sometimes when you have a small piece to cut out of a large sheet of paper, see what I did then? I just roughly cut this one out. And that way you're not having to manage holding onto a large piece of paper while cutting out a small shape. So there's one. Let's move that one out of the way. We'll cut out this one. You'll also notice that as I'm cutting, I'm keeping the scissors pointing pretty much straight out in front of me, and I'm turning the paper with my other hand. So that's a little tip for you. It's much easier, you have more control. You'll also notice that I'm cutting using small cuts. And I'm also watching what I'm doing, and I'm watching where I'm going, and I'm doing it slowly. All these things I'm teaching my kids in the art room to do so that we can get better at cutting. There's 2. Let's start on number 3. So when we were tracing, our dots were getting smaller, and because of the order in which I sat them once I'd traced out my dots, as we're cutting, our dots are getting bigger. So you can see I'm turning my page again, turning my paper, cutting slowly, watching where I'm going, and using small cutting strokes. 3. Oh, this paper, can you hear the sound of this paper? It's making a deeper sound. When it makes a deeper sound, it's thicker card. Here's an interesting little fact for you. I don't know if this noise gets picked up on that microphone. Hear it. So cutting. Nearly done. Now when you choose out your colours, especially if you have choices for colours, you can choose to cut out cool colours. Cool colours, of course, are your blues and your greens and purples. Or you could choose to cut out warm colours, which is your yellows and oranges and reds and pinks. Or you could choose, which I almost have done, you could choose rainbow colours and see if you can get them in the order of the rainbow too. Or you could choose patterned paper. Or you can choose plain paper. Or you could choose a combination. You could even do textured paper. Textured paper, so paper that has little bumps on it, or maybe it feels scratchy like sandpaper. Maybe it feels smooth, maybe it's shiny. Okay, there is my dot. There are my dots. Okay, when I glue them together, I could glue them so that they go all in the middle. Or I could glue them so that they are all close together near one edge. And that kind of looks cool. Or I could glue them so that they are all overlapping. Many different options. So think about how you would like to do it. And because we haven't put any glue on there yet, we've cut out all of our shapes first, you can actually arrange them and then see which way you like them the best. I'm thinking that for this one, I might glue them like this. Because to me, that actually makes me think of a peacock feather. I don't know why, but it does. A peacock feather. You know how they have those beautiful patterns at the ends of their tail feathers? Or the males do anyway. So I'm going to pop some glue on here using my blue glue so I can see where I've put the glue, and then it dries nice and clear. You could use any glue that you've got at home. Okay, so gluing one down. Remember to glue near the edges, and you may even want to sit your paper maybe onto a scrap piece of paper in case you get glue over the edges. Saves you getting it on the table or on your artwork. Okay, so a scrap bit of paper would be good. There's my next one. Okay, next colour, next size, yellow. Well, it's more of a yellow orange, I think, isn't it? So it's sort of a mix of yellow and orange. So add the glue. You can really see the colour of the glue on this dot, can't you? Really stands out. See that? So pop that one on. And then our final dot is our red one. Okay, so this is a very simple dot that you can do. Put the lid on the glue stick so it doesn't dry out. There we go. Beautiful. Oh, that makes my eyes go a bit funny, that. It's like an optical illusion. Like a couple of weeks ago, the drawing that we did. Okay, there's dot number 1. Where shall I put that? I might pop that one just there. Okay, dot number 2. You'll remember that I used a paper plate to trace around before. Paper plates can be used for lots of different cool art activities. What we're going to do with this one is, of course, we're going to create a different dot. And for this one, we're going to need coloured markers. And I'm just going to put them into rainbow order. So coloured markers, and we're going to need a container of water, and we're going to need a paintbrush. But first of all, what we're going to use is the markers, and we're going to start by doing a circle in the middle. And we are going to do patterns radiating out from that initial circle. So all sorts of patterns going around. So it's kind of symmetry where it's all the same. Radial symmetry, so what we do over here is the same as what we do there, is the same as what we do there, is the same as what we do there. So more little bumps. I'll just give you a few ideas. I won't do the whole plate. I've done one already, and it did take a little while, so I don't know that you want to watch me do it the whole time. Do some leaf shapes. Might as well make them look like real leaves. Give them some veins. I'll hold this up in a sec, guys, so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. There's my start. Let's continue with some blue. We might do an arc between each purple leaf. Okay, one more arc. Now we might do, what shall we do with this one? We might do a bubble around the end of our leaf. Doesn't really matter what patterns you do, just need to remember that what you do in one part, you need to do in another as you're going around, okay? It's starting to get a little bit wonky, but that's okay. It's roughly in the middle, and you can see that what I do here is the same as what I do here, same as what I do here, same as what I do here, and here as well, okay? So I'm going to continue. I might do another little circle inside that one. Looks like a ring around the end of the leaf. Okay, now green. We might do some zigzags in between. Lots of different pattern ideas. So what have we got so far? We've got zigzags, we've got leaves, we've got circles, we've got flower shapes, we've got bumps. What else can we do now? I think we might do maybe some bumps going around the outside of our circles. To the yellow, so I might do big bumps and then a little bridging bump, big bump, bridging bump, big bump, bridging bump, big bump, and then bridging bumps. Okay, can you see what I'm doing? More patterns, just adding them as I go. And we might now do like little sun rays coming out of each of those big bumps. Now remembering that what we do to one, we need to do to the others as well. Okay, I might leave it at this now and I can show you what our next step is. When you do yours, keep on going until you get right out to the edge of the plate. Okay, keep going until you get right out to the edge. Doing different patterns as you go around. You can even repeat some patterns. You could come back to leaves or you come back to zigzags as you go around. I've got one finished, I'll show you that shortly. But once you have done all of your texture drawing, and wait until you've done all of it before you do this next bit, because this next bit makes it a little bit wet and messy, to then go back and do some drawing. So all you need is a paintbrush and a bit of water. What we're going to do is I'm going to add it to the orange so that you can see it a bit better, because you won't see it on the yellow. Paint over the marker lines, and it actually, if you use water-based markers, which are basically children's markers, if you paint over them, it actually turns the texture or the marker into a watercolour paint. There you go, I'll hold that up so you can see. See the watercolour effect? Makes it look like paint. So I'm just going to rinse out my brush and get rid of a lot of the water. You don't want big puddles here. I'm going to go over the purple leaves now. So I'm just painting over them. Presume you can see this okay? Yep. Painting over those leaves. There we go. See how it's looking? Turning them into beautiful, softened watercolours. Now we might just go over this blue bit, and then, because you can get the idea, I'll show you the one that I've already finished. Actually, I might just do the green zigzags as well. They look like they need a bit of water. It's going to start blending into my blue now, but that's okay. Now, if you add lots of water, you'll end up with the colour running in lots of places, and it will thin out the intensity of the colour. If you add just a little bit of water, then it should stay reasonably still. So you can see how it's going. Okay, here's one that I finished earlier. You can see the beautiful watercolour effect that it has. See how it just spreads out the colour, makes it nice and thin and soft. It does depend on what colours you use though. But they are with normal markers, okay? So normal markers that you'll have in your pencil case. Now, our final dot that we are going to make. We are going to be doing a reverse dot. So a reverse dot, you might be wondering what that is. So what we're going to do is we are going to start with a piece of paper. We're going to upend our pot again and trace around it. Just trace lightly, because we actually don't want to keep this pencil line here. We want to eventually rub it out. So if you draw really lightly, it makes it much easier to rub out afterwards. Okay, so there is my circle, somewhere in the middle of my A4 paper. Now I have got now 3 different colours of paint. Some of you might recognise that these are the primary colours. So we've got red, blue and yellow. So our 3 primary colours. So that's pretty much what all other colours are made from. So I'm going to start with blue paint. Now because it's dot day, we've already done 2 dots. We've done our collaged paper dot. We've done our marker watercolour dot, we are going to be doing dots. So I'm going to do big dots and small dots and tiny dots. And what I'm going to do with these is I'm only going to have them on the outside of my circle that I drew. See, I'm not putting them on the inside, just on the outside. That's why I have the pencil line there, so I know which side I'm putting my dots. So some big, some small, lots of dots. So these are our blue dots. Now, for those of you who are joining me for the first time and don't know what watercolour paint I'm using, this is watercolour paint that I made out of old markers. So you know when markers get really old and they either get pushed inside, like you lose the nib, or it becomes all furry on the end, or split, or it just dries out completely? Well, don't throw your markers away. Take the lids off and pop them into a container upside down, so with the nib pointing down. Add a little bit of water and then leave them soak just for a little bit. And then you end up with this beautiful coloured watercolour paint to use. So I've just added all of my blues together, all my yellows, all my reds. You might see a green sticking out there and there, but that's just my brush handle. And it makes great colours. Great for if you don't have watercolour paint at home. So lots of dots. A few more. Tiny one. Medium size one. Small. 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 Tiny. Okay. I might put the blue aside now. I might go with red next. Okay. So I'm going to fill some gaps. Now if you go close to the colours that you've already got there and they touch, look what happens. You may not be able to see that really well. It actually bleeds into each other. I'll show you on one that I prepared earlier shortly. If I hold this up, all the paint's just going to go whoosh, run off my page. And I'll end up with dribbles instead of dots. And I don't think it's International Dribble Day today. It's International Dot Day. So lots of dots. More, some big, some small. Seeing how they bleed into each other, creating beautiful new colours and lovely, exciting effects. It's like magic. Okay, now you can go right up to your circle that you drew. Alright, just don't go over the line, because the idea of our reverse dot is that we are going to be leaving an area on our page that has no paint markings on it. So we are effectively painting the background and leaving our dot free of paint. Need to get some tiny ones happening in here too. Okay, nearly done with my red, I think. Some of my blue is starting to dry, so it's not bleeding into the reds as much, possibly even overlapping slightly rather than bleeding. Okay, pop the red one aside. Now for the yellow. The yellow isn't as vibrant as the others. Yellow doesn't tend to be. just because I probably don't have as many markers in this container as I do with the red and the blue. Oh, look at these yummy colours. Lots of bleeding of colours. Okay, so who can remember? How do we make orange? We can see it happening right here on my page, can't we? It's going to be red and yellow. Red and yellow. So you guys get the idea now. I don't think I'll sit here and continue doing this because we'll be here for quite a while. So what I would do once I have finished adding more dots, I would put that one aside, which I will do now. And here's one that I prepared earlier. Probably doesn't have quite as many dots on it, but you can see there, we've got lots of little dots around the outside and then one big reverse white dot in the middle. So what we can do now is we can carefully, once it's dry, which it's not completely dry, I'll just rub out some of the pencil lines. You can get an idea. So just carefully, and do make sure it's completely dry before you do this, guys. Otherwise, you might smudge your paint. Okay. I know I've done that before, so I'll try and prevent you guys from doing that. So you just rub out carefully once your paint is completely dry. And it's a lovely sunny day today, so you could put it inside a window in the sun. Or pop it outside, but if there's a bit of wind around like there is here today, you might need to pop something on top of it just to stop it from blowing off the table. There we go, mostly rubbed out. So there's our reverse dot. So there's our 3 dots for dot day, guys. We've got these 2 dots. Oops, need 3 hands. And this one. Okay, so lots of dot artwork you can do on International Dot Day. There they are. Here's the book. So I hope you guys have lots of fun. There's so many other ways that you can create dots for today, and I'd love to see your take on it. So have fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye.